years from now.
He'd want to go bigger than Spurs. If I'm James Maddison, I'm not going to Spurs. That ship sailed, and they finished 8th, no European football.
Into Maddison. Maddison scores a beautiful goal. Oh, that's wonderfully taken by the young England star.
Well, when we talk about a number 10 position, if you like, and there's Mason Mount, there's Jack Grealish, there's all different types of players. He, for me, is the best in England.
Yeah, James Maddison, heavily linked with a move to Spurs, heavily linked with a move to Newcastle. Obviously, he's got big decisions to make. He will definitely be leaving Leicester City, but where does his future lie? What club in the Premier League? Transfer Insiders, Adi Oladipo, Rory Jennings. If you are James Maddison, where do you go? Do you look at the project going on at Newcastle right now, again, finishing Champions League spots, or do you look at what could be? And I know you laugh at this, but I think what could be an interesting season under Postecoglou at Spurs. Where do you go?
I mean, I do totally understand the allure of playing for Tottenham.
Course,
like Tottenham are a massive club. So I do understand why he would be wooed by them, but I don't think you can look beyond playing in the European Cup. Playing Champions League football has to be the answer, doesn't it? If you are an ambitious footballer with, the world at your feet, with a European Championship coming up, he has to be thinking about playing in a final in Berlin, playing at the very top level, playing in the Champions League for Newcastle United. I don't think that Tottenham can offer anything like that at the moment.
It doesn't. Well, they can offer playing with England captain. Yeah, that partnership links up. Yeah, for now, indeed. Let's welcome in Chris Cowlin, the Spurs Chat podcast host. Chris, appreciate you coming on. Before we talk about a goalkeeper incoming, James Maddison, how desperate do you want him? And I was going to ask you to kind of almost take your Tottenham hat off there, if you can, for a second, Chris. But if you are and you've got options, can you understand why maybe the lure of going up north to Newcastle is a bit more appealing than coming to London with Spurs?
Rory, Addy, good evening to you. James Maddison, I tell you what, he would certainly fill that hole for us because we haven't replaced Christian Eriksen. He left some years ago. This is the problem with Tottenham. We seem to let good quality players go, and then we don't bring in the same quality or better quality. We replace them with lesser quality players. That's been the problem over the years. That's why we are trophyless in 15 years. But James Maddison, to go and play for Newcastle, play in Champions League football, or go to a rebuild at Tottenham Hotspur, I don't think there is any doubt or question that you'd go and play Champions League football. But it is about what Tottenham Hotspur want to do, what our ambitions are for next season. Of course, we're not in European football of any shape or form, but Postecoglou comes in with a huge job on his hands. He starts the job in 10 days' time. We've got a huge clear out to do. We've got lots of players to come in. We haven't appointed the director of football yet. And he hasn't even got any coaching staff yet, and he starts the job in 10 days' time. So there is an awful lot to do at this football club, but it is about club ambition. What do we want to do? Because let's face it, all of us Spurs fans know that we're probably the best Premier League club off the pitch. We've got great training facilities. All of you go on about it day in, day out. Spurs have great training facilities. We've got a great stadium, blah, blah, blah. But we want to be competing at the highest level on the pitch. It needs to be taken seriously. It needs, major investment. It needs, time, effort, desire, and ambition from Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, absolutely. From Ange Postecoglou's point of view, taking on the Tottenham job with Harry Kane is very different to taking on the Tottenham job without Harry Kane. Your captain, Hugo Lloris, is already moving on. It could be a very different looking club. Do you feel like Harry Kane is going to stay, or are you worried, Chris?
I do, Rory. I do believe that he will stay until 2024. I think it's a completely different conversation next year. I think he will give Spurs one more year. I just really do hope that we give Harry Kane a great send-off by winning a trophy at the football club. Because, let's face it, 4 years ago, we were playing Champions League football. We're now not playing any European football at all. We've gone round in circles. We've gone from Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, and we haven't delivered any success under those three managers. It is absolutely crazy. And of course, in between that, we waited 72 days. We were promised entertaining football. Nuno Espirito Santo come in, didn't last 5 minutes. And now we are now at a complete, crossroads again. What route do we want to go down? How ambitious as a football club do we want to be? Show Harry Kane that we want to be ambitious as a football club, bring in statement signings. It's frustrating for us all because we all talk about world-class signings. And if I'm completely honest, the last signing that I got really, really excited about was back in 1994 when Jurgen Klinsmann signed for us. In my opinion, that was the last world-class player at his time that signed for Spurs. Why are we not signing world-class players? Why are we not going out and signing the best stars like other Premier League clubs do? Look at us now. All of the other Premier League clubs are doing business, and we've got a new manager in, and we're not doing much business at all. We've got so many players to clear out as well. 11 loan players are coming back from last season. Postecoglou's got a huge assessment to do. But as I say, so many players need to go out the door. But top quality players need to come in, because we need to be back to where we used to be in playing Champions League football. And at the moment, we're a million miles away from that.
Yeah, I was going to say that because you mentioned there Harry Kane sort of staying on until 2024, and potentially you guys giving him some silverware to disappear off into the sunset. And you look at your squad, and look, Chris, you would have looked at these players a lot more than I do. And the midfield's just not good enough, is it? You look at the midfield and it's just not good enough. I mean, the back four, I know there's been interest about Mark Gahey from Crystal Palace, good defender. You need so much, don't you? I mean, I think Postecoglou's a good manager, I really do, but there's only so much someone can do. He's not going to get backed. He's not going to be given 300 million war chest. Okay, go and sort all the problems out. I don't see how Tottenham improve on what they did last season just because so many holes need to be fixed.
It's such a massive job. As I've said, Postecoglou has got such a massive job ahead. A director of football needs to be appointed as soon as possible, in my opinion. He needs support. He's been given a 4-year contract, so I do believe that that is a great decision from the club. But club decisions in recent years have been terrible. So these next decisions this summer is huge for Daniel Levy and the board, because a lot of fans are extremely frustrated. A lot of Spurs fans now are expecting a major rebuild. We're talking about David Raya paying £40 million for him. It doesn't look like Spurs want to get that done. And now Vicario is going to come in for half the money. It seems underwhelming to most. But it must be Postecoglou's decisions and signings, because, of course, Antonio Conte last year, Dan Juma and Jed Spence, to name 2 players there, he come out on a number of occasions saying that they're club signings. So it's all about supporting the manager, what the manager wants. But this rebuild at the club is absolutely huge. You talk about those loan players coming back. Ndombele, Lo Celso, £100 million between those two. Spurs have spent money, but we've spent it very badly, and the decisions have been bad. But the decisions this summer must be absolutely right. They must be absolutely key. But when you talk about players as well, there are a number of players at the club. Richarlison, Heung-min Son, Kulusevski, they all underperformed last season. We know that a new manager can get the best out of them. He plays attacking, free-flowing football. So we're looking forward to that, because these last few years have been very difficult to watch, certainly under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte playing defensive football. It's okay when you're winning, but Spurs fans are used to being entertained. So we certainly are looking forward to that.
Chris, I fully understand that your responsibility as a Tottenham man is to now pledge full unilateral backing to Ange Postecoglou. But can I ask you, genuinely, prior to the announcement, how up for Postecoglou were you? Do you feel like he is the right man? Are you troubled by a fairly uninspiring record of managers doing well in Scotland and then coming to the Premier League and not necessarily hitting the ground running?
Bear in mind, just before you answer that, Chris, that they were heavily linked with Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
Like he was the one that they really wanted. And, obviously a lot better when you look at CVs than Postecoglou. So go on, Chris. Apologies. Go on. What was you going to say?
Rory, that's very easy to answer, because it was only a couple of months ago that a lot of the Spurs fans, most of the Spurs fans in the stadium, home and away, were singing Maurizio Pochettino's name. That is a name and a manager that everyone wanted back. Nagelsmann also excited a lot of people as well. There must be a reason why no clubs are appointing him at the moment. But when Postecoglou was appointed, I think a lot of people were underwhelmed. A lot of people were disappointed. But it's very, very fair to say, me included, once you go away, you do your research. This is Postecoglou's big break. He's not had a big break in a big European league before. He's done very, very well wherever he's gone. Celtic, Australia, Japan. He's won trophies everywhere he's gone. So this is his big break. But, to answer you honestly, I think it was an underwhelming signing at the time. But when he plays free-flowing, attacking football, and that is exactly what us Spurs fans need and deserve right now, because it has been a hard watch watching Tottenham home and away these last few years. And we want to just be challenging. We want to be competing at the highest level, getting back into Europe, getting back into the top 4. But as I said, to get anywhere near that, huge investment is needed, huge decisions are needed, good decisions are needed. The likes of Harry Kane to stay, but show Harry Kane, what we're going to do. Show us some ambition. Show us the direction of this football club. I just feel that sometimes the board need to communicate a lot more with the fans to tell us exactly what the plan is and be ambitious to put trophies in the cabinet, because it has been such a long time.
Chris, last one. Me and Maria have asked every guest. I'm going to ask you exactly the same thing. Expectations for next season. What do you expect? What do you want?
Expectations for next season, it has to be the ambition to get back into a European competition, either the Europa League or the Champions League. But of course, it does depend on investment. And as I always say on all of these interviews, I just want a trophy, a League Cup, an FA Cup. Just give us something. Postecoglou,
would you take the Europa Conference League? Bear in mind, we saw how it galvanised West Ham, and look at the reaction to it. Would you take that?
Addy, I'll be completely honest with you. I think a lot of Spurs fans have been extremely snobby about this competition. When we were in the Europa Conference League, I went home and away to every single game. I always believe, I'm an old-fashioned fan, if you're in a competition, go out all to win it and take it seriously. And, you saw what West Ham done. They went off and won it. They took it very seriously. That's exactly what Spurs should have done. I'm absolutely gutted not to be in Europe next season.
Yeah, Chris, really appreciate coming on, man. Thank you very much. Chris Cowlin, the Spurs Chat podcast host there. Great call.
Yeah, well said. I completely agree.
Well
I don't
indeed.
understand that. That sneery attitude to silverware. Like, Chris didn't demonstrate it at all. I think he definitely
I think we all had it, though, didn't we, to the Europa Conference League? We all had it. Remember Brendan Rodgers said he didn't even know what it was? Remember that?
Do you know what, Eddie? I understand why certain clubs may be sneery towards certain trophies. Maybe if you were a Liverpool fan with your proud record in Europe, maybe you could be slightly snide towards a Conference League. But when you have Arsenal fans or Tottenham fans or even Chelsea fans turning their nose up to a Europa League, you think, who do you think you are? Planting your flag in Europe is one of the most glorious feelings that you can ever have in football. And just look at the scenes from West Ham fans. Look at the players. Look at David Moyes dancing. Iconic scenes of him placing that medal on his father's shoulders on the pitch in Prague. They will live forever. Finishing fourth in the league certainly doesn't live forever. It's totally forgettable, aside from qualifying for next season's competition in Europe.
All right, well said, Rory. Agreed. European trophies is a European trophy. All right, when we come back, any other rumours, we're going to go through